Hello everybody. Today we are beginning new material. The first half of this week is actually going to be entirely on rhythm. We're taking a quick detour from pitch. We'll have some harmonic dictation material to get to on Friday, but we're going to take a break from melody for right now. We're going to spend 2 days talking about rhythmic syncopation. So all of you have probably come across syncopation in music that you've read, but we're going to kind of define it and look at things just from a purely rhythmic point of view. Okay? So, simply put, syncopation is just the displacement of the beat. Okay? This can happen at the beat, the division, or the subdivision level, in simple or in compound time. And this happens either through accents or through rhythm. So if it happens through accents, you still have a sense of pulse, but you're putting emphasis in places that aren't downbeats. Or if it's through the rhythm itself, you're obscuring the beat itself, because of things like ties and of longer durations and what have you. So rhythms can hide where the beats are in the first place. So counting for this is the same basic principle that we've seen for ties and dotted rhythms, where we've got beats that are kind of subsumed by other rhythms, but just taken up to a much longer and much more kind of frequent scale. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through a couple examples of division and beat level syncopation in simple and compound time, and then we're going to take a look at subdivision level syncopation in simple and compound time. So we got 4 examples for you today. We're going to do some counting for those, but a lot of this is going to be clapping today. So here we go. This first one, right here. Let's take a look at this. So 2/4, it's a simple time signature. We see lots of eighth notes here. And the way to approach counting syncopation, if you're going to do it on paper, ideally the process is to get this as sight-readable and as kind of internal as possible. But say we're going to write all the beats for this. The smallest note value that we have is an eighth note. So we can try to think of our kind of eighth note pulse throughout as giving kind of where our emphasis goes. So notice that we come in on the and of 2. The first 2 measures are the same, so that makes things easy. And we've got 1 and with 2 hidden within that quarter note. We've got a longer displacement in the 3rd and 4th measure, where we've got both a dotted note and a tie over the bar line that then resumes not on a beat, but on the and of a beat. So that gets kind of tricky. But then we reset in the penultimate measure to and 2 and 1. Okay, so here's what the counting looks like, right? Notice, look at the lack of beats we have. We've only got, besides the very last measure, we've only got 4 strikes on the beat in this entire thing. Everything else is an and in certain places. Now, I didn't provide the parentheses here for your own use. You can, if you want to see where the beats fall, you can either put the beats above, or in your counting, you can put, for instance, 2 in parentheses if the 2 is subsumed by like a quarter note, for instance. So let's go ahead and try this out. Let's just go ahead and clap through this one. We have the counting on screen, so you can clap and count if you'd like, but let's just go ahead and clap this one. And the way to practice syncopation and the way to practice these rhythms this week especially is to, with your leg, you want to kind of go ahead and tap the beat, so that way you don't lose a sense of that, okay? Ideally, you eventually want to completely internalize the beat into your head to where you can do the entire thing where the only thing that moves is your hands. But for right now, for today, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and stomp our quarter note beat, and let's clap our rhythm, okay? So let's see. So let's do this tempo. So this is the quarter note, okay? 1 and 2 and so on. Okay, ready? I'm going to go ahead and count us in. I'm going to give us 3 eighth notes, and then we're in on the and. Ready? So let's go ahead and clap with me, okay? So here we go. 1 and 2. I beg your pardon, my knee hit my keyboard in the middle there, and it threw off my sense of rhythm. So again, all the more reason to internalize things, okay? Great, let's try that one again, but a little bit faster, okay? This time I'm going to go ahead and conduct for you, and I want you to go ahead and stomp and clap the rhythm, okay? This is going to be our quarter note, a little bit faster. Bum, 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 okay? I'm going to go ahead and conduct you. I'm going to give you, let's see, how many beats? I'm going to give you 8 beats. 8 beats, you're on the and. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Okay. Good. Yeah. Syncopation really works when you're at tempo, when you're at a quicker tempo. At a slower tempo, syncopation doesn't really seem like anything, and it can be easier to lose the beat. So sometimes syncopation might be better to just kind of really practice it in chunks at tempo and then put it together rather than doing the entire thing slow and then slowly building it up. Okay, so let's look at another one. We're not going to count this one. Let's just go ahead and take, pardon me, we're not going to do the counting for it. We'll do it all in our heads this time. So here we go. We're in 3/8. Typically seen as a simple time, but it also could be seen as kind of like a compound time with one beat per measure. Either way, notice that in this one, we don't really have any sort of dotted or division trickery. Here, what happens is the beat is displaced through ties, right? So go ahead and take 15 seconds, take a look at this, and then we're going to go ahead and go through this, and I'm just going to go ahead and conduct the first time, and I want you to go ahead and clap the rhythm, okay? So take 15 seconds. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this out. This is the 8th note pulse, okay? I'm going to go ahead and slap my knee for this one, okay? And I'll try to conduct with that too, actually. Yeah. Okay, ready? I'm going to give you 2 measures and we're in. Okay, I want you to clap. I'm going to go ahead and conduct and smack the beat. Okay, this is the 8th note pulse. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that again. Okay, let's go a little bit quicker this time. This one I'm going to go ahead and clap with you. Okay, so we're going to go this tempo. This is going to be our 8th note tempo. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Yeah, okay. So, the first 3 measures are pretty straightforward because it is this kind of repeating idea. The 4th and 5th measure, you do get a longer displacement. You go a long time from the 3rd beat of the 4th measure to the 3rd beat of the 5th measure. But other than that, this one's pretty straightforward, okay? Let's make things more complicated now. Let's go ahead and add in subdivisions, okay? So here we go, subdivisions. We see some pretty common variations of 4/16 notes here. So there's not that many options that you can possibly have for 4/16 notes. And the one that we see here is actually quite common in the first 2 measures. I like to think of them as what we call fork rhythms, where we've got 16th, 8th, 16th. If you were to have it, if the beam were the other way, it would look kind of like a fork like that. And then you also see at the end, we've got ba-da-dum, bum, ba-da-dum. We've got, 1E and so on. So let's take a look at the counting for this. 4/4. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at where all your beats are. This one doesn't hide the beat as much. What happens with subdivision-based syncopation is oftentimes you have divisions within the beats. So notice that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 is obscured in that dot in the first measure. Then we have the and that ties over to the second measure. The second measure rhythm is almost identical to the first, okay, with just one minor exception in the first beat. The end, we've got this kind of 1E and rhythm comes back a couple times, and then at the end, we've got E and a 3, and that's really all there is to it. This one actually isn't that bad, despite just inherently being a little bit messier to look at, a little bit more complicated than our previous example. So here's the counting for that. Okay, notice that we have the beat a lot here. There's only a couple places where the beat is completely hidden. Yeah, let's just go ahead and try this one out. So, same thing that we just did with the previous one. Okay, we're going to go slower this one. I'm going to go ahead and just smack my knee to give you the... Actually, no, I'll clap. I'll clap to give you the quarter note tempo. I want you to clap the rhythm. Okay? So, go ahead and if you want to stomp your foot along with the quarter note pulse, that would probably be a good idea. Okay? This is our quarter note tempo. Okay? Let's go and try it this tempo. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so if I had to guess where two issues happened, for whatever reason, catching E without a 1 is tricky. So in the third measure, we've got E and then in the fourth measure, we've got 1 E and a, right? So when we do these subdivisions, you want to not only feel the beat, okay, but you want to keep the constant 1E and 2E and 3E and you want to keep that in your head because that's the way that you're not going to get behind with these, okay? So same thing, I'm not going to clap with you. I'm just going to give you the beat, okay? I would like you to go through and clap the rhythm again. We're going to go a little bit faster and really try to make sure that we're having every note in its right place. Ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, we're all competent musicians at this point. All of you play instruments, whether it's your voice, whether it's a mallet, whether it's a piano, whether it's a wind instrument. I would imagine that we've all seen 16th note rhythms like this before. So I'm not going to belabor the point more than that. But before we finish for today, let's go ahead and take a look at subdivisions in compound time, which because of our extra kind of division, we have 6 note groups instead of 4 note groups. It looks a little bit messier, okay? So take a look at this one. Now we have similar looking rhythms to our forks in this case, okay? Right, we have that on beat 2 of the first measure, beat 1 of the second measure, beat 2 of the second measure. So that can get kind of tricky. So again, the trick here is to not only keep the beat in your head, but to try to keep track of the division and the subdivision, okay? If the subdivision is too quick, then the division will do, okay? So instead of thinking of this in terms of, you want to think of things in kind of nested levels of organization. Because for performance, thinking in terms of the beat helps prevent you from rushing or dragging, right? Because your beat are these bigger units, and if you can fit everything within there, that'll be more of a natural feel. But if you think of the division, it'll be easier to catch your syncopations. But if you try to, tap your leg to the division or the subdivision, that's going to be really rough, okay? So, for this one, take a look, take 15 seconds and take a look at what the counting for this should be, and then I'll show it on screen, okay? So remember that what we've been doing, there's a couple different ways to count compound time. What we've been doing is 1 ta la ta li ta for our subdivisions, okay? So go ahead and take 15 seconds and take a look at what our counting for this should be. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So the first beat, straightforward, because our first beat is just all of our subdivisions. Second beat gets tricky because notice we've got a displacement of our division through the subdivision. So instead of tu la li, it becomes tu ta ta ta, right? Tricky. The third beat is relatively straightforward. It's just because of how compound time looks with our beams, it gets a little bit tricky because la looks like its own entity, but it actually isn't. La is part of that third beat. We've got an eighth rest to start off our fourth beat, and then la li, relatively straightforward. Notice that we have that kind of modified fork come back in the second measure, 1 ta ta ta, and then we have a modified version of that. 2 ta ta li ta, right? We add back in li in the middle there, but kind of keep that same syncopated feel. The third beat's pretty straightforward. 3 ta la li. Okay. 4 is hidden under a tie, but then we come back in with the subdivisions without syncopation. So la ta li ta, right? The third measure looks really tricky because now we have dotted rhythms tied in. But if you look at this, we've got 1 ta li. Because a dotted eighth note is 3 16th notes, of course. So when you take the first 4 16th notes, that's only two divisions of the total 3 division beat. So it's a scarier rhythm than it is. It's just 1 ta li. Or, in that same measure, 3 ta li, and so on. Beat 4, we have that same modified fork from earlier, from beat 2 of measure 2. We've got that same beat 3 from measure 1 back on beat 1 of measure 4. And then we've got that same kind of displacement of hiding the downbeat and then la li on beat 2. So again, this one, because of how divisions work and because of how compound time works, this looks quite a bit more complicated than it actually is. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and smack my knee here. I'm going to pulse the divisions. Right? So every measure is going to have 12 pulses, right? I want you to clap the rhythm, okay? So I'm going to give us a full measure. This is our 8th note pulse. So our subdivision would be 1 ta, la ta, li ta, 2 ta, la ta, li ta, and so on, okay? I'm going to give us 2 beats of prep, okay? It's like I'm coming in on beat 3 and 4 of a pickup measure. So 2 full beats of prep. Ready? 1, la, li, 2, ready, go. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that one more time. Let's go the same tempo. This time I'm going to clap the rhythm with you. Let's really make sure that we've got perfect rhythmic accuracy for all of these syncopated subdivisions. Okay, ready? So 2 beats of prep. 1, la, li, 2, ready, go. Okay, so subdivisions. That's really it for syncopation. Syncopation unto itself could be a very broad topic, especially when you consider how different kind of genre considerations affect syncopation. And syncopation can get tremendously complicated, but in terms of like the basic overarching principle, that's really it. In addition, I've picked some, from the Rogers and Ottman, some fairly complicated subdivided syncopated rhythms here. So that's going to do it for today. I'll talk about what we're doing next time. Okay, so let's see here. Next time we're doing rhythmic dictation of syncopation. Okay, so the types of rhythms I just gave you, I'm going to clap and you will be expected to dictate. So be ready for that. If today was a bit of a struggle for you, McGammett actually has rhythmic dictation practice. Okay. Levels 11 to 14 in the rhythmic dictation practice mode are going to be germane for us. Those are all the simple and compound syncopation levels. So, if you do that in the regular mode, you'll have to work your way up to those. But if you do it in practice mode, you can just jump there. I'm not assigning McGammett this week, but it's there if you need it, okay? Your participation assignment, I'm giving you 3 to do that are due Wednesday at 8 a.m. Wednesday. So, 13.5, 13.43, and 13.54, all due to my email in MP3 format by Wednesday at 8 a.m., please. Okay? So, Wednesday dictation. Friday, we're going to do something totally different, and we're going to do some harmonic stuff. We're going to add our final diatonic chord, the pesky 3 chord. Okay? So, that's it for today. I hope all of you are doing well, and I will see all of you next time.